let's now go to A Million Miles Away, and let's talk about this film, brother. Let's.
Yeah. First impressions. As a film, it's a pretty typical biopic. Uh, in terms of it's structured the same way. You kind of know where things are going, and
Mhm.
you know, and the lead character Jose Hernandez, played by the great Michael Pena. Um, my only issue with that is, I guess the real Jose Hernandez is a very low key character, and
Yeah.
sometimes low key characters don't translate well to film, and so the film
Right.
it feels low key. But in terms of the message behind the film, the story of Jose Hernandez, uh, I thought it was great, and I have some connection points with this movie. One, it's about the space program, and my father was a part of the space program. Um, and it's also the immigrant story, and I think his story that took place in the '70s was very similar to my grandparents' story, which took place in the '40s.
For me, I'm right on with you in regards to your standard biopic. It's solid. Obviously, the the Mexican American family kind of like you know aspect to it. There's some poetry and some beauty to it that adds to your typical biopic, especially like what you're saying is that, for lack of better words, Jose Hernandez was just your kind of like, like you said, low key nerd who kind of just became an engineer, then worked his butt off and got, failed time after time. I think what, 12 or 13 tries.
Yeah, I believe it's 13.
But for me, performance wise, Pena's solid. But for me, it was Rosa Salazar,
Hmm.
who she just stole every scene she was in. She is so damn likable. That where she plays the girlfriend and then wife, and you trek their lives because it covers a lot of time, and she's got her dreams. She sacrifices for him. They
Hmm.
start a family. She inspires him. I have to tell you, my one of my favorite scenes is when he was really doubting himself, and then he finally like tells her,
Yeah, he's been
that scene.
hiding it from her, hiding the fact that he's applied to become an astronaut for years.
Up until then, I felt the movie was pretty, it was entertaining, but it was pretty paint by numbers biopic.
Yeah.
But for me, Rosa just elevated and made me really care for Jose's story.
I mean, look, he is in improv. We call him a low status character, and he's
Mm.
pretty much that way throughout the entire thing. He's usually following as opposed to leading. Yeah, Rosa Salazar is kind of his backbone, his strength, his foundation. You know,
Mm-hmm.
move him on. It was like the fact that he was hiding, the fact that he was applying to become an astronaut, knowing that it's pretty dangerous and it's even more time that they're not going to have together. And that's an interesting dynamic that you don't normally see in a film, like in a biopic, especially one about a man.
Young, young Michael Pena, right? Young little
Jose.
Hernandez going to school, and he's a migrant. He's a son of migrant farm workers, and he's a farm worker himself. So they leave with the crops. So he's there for maybe a month. You see that, which I thought was cool to see, because I know that I know relatives but before me that had that lifestyle. My great grandfather was that he followed the crops. So this teacher went to his parents' house, and she's like, sometimes you got to grow roots, and there's this whole thing, this
Mhm.
through line with the roots, which I love. And the actress is Asian, or the teacher.
Yeah.
So he's inspired by her. Flash forward to when he's gonna live, like the day before he's gonna lift off. He's in NASA, and Rosa, his wife, brings the teacher in between the plexiglass. Let me out now. And it's the teacher, and the teacher saved the little flyer that he made of, like, he's like a little cornhusk arrow spaceship dude.
Mhm.
And it's like, if you don't have a heart, man, it's just like tears. I thought that was a great touch. Very corny, but a
Yeah,
great touch. Alan, what do you
yeah,
think?
yeah. It was corny.
What's your
So,
beef? It's
I
very
mean, look,
corny.
that's the element of a biopic. The one who inspired you
Right.
so long ago has to show up at the end of the movie at the right moment. And you know, I don't know if that happened in real life, but it always happens in biopics. But
Yeah.
you know, look, you know, my aunts, half of them went into tech, half of them went into teaching. So, you know, to the idea that he had an Asian elementary school teacher uh, is very likely to have happened because I definitely know a lot of Asian teachers in my life. This takes place in the 80s and 90s. Let's just say that all my friends in college, they were going to be doctors or engineers, and I'm just
Mhm.
saying, not a whole lot of Asian engineers in the background there when there probably were at NASA. They may not have been the project leaders, they may not have been the
Mhm.
managers, but they definitely would have been the extras in the background at NASA. Um, so I'm just saying because we had that little discussion of you
So you're
know,
saying, if there was going to be Asians anywhere on film, on camera, historical,
yeah,
that's not a restaurant or a laundromat. No
right.
hate. It would have been NASA.
It would have been NASA, and they would look. They would have been the extras, and that would have been fine because that would have been real to the situation.
Well,
And look, 80s and
yeah,
90s,
yeah.
you know, the stereotypical Asian laundry owner, restaurant worker, you know, there were less of us doing that stuff, and you know, we were getting into the fields of engineering,
Mhm.
of of medicine, um, you know, computer science. That's you know that you know, look, this is his story is the Asian story. The parents who sacrifice everything to come to America to give their children a better life. You know, every single one of my aunts and uncles went to college while my
Mhm.
grandparents were running restaurants. You know, that was the dream, and we fulfilled those dreams. You know, but I would say the vast majority of my family has gone to college. You know, and you know, my mom is she did computers in the 60s and 70s, and she was kind of on the forefront, at least here in Southern California.
Mm.
You know, she worked at UCLA for 10 years, you know, as a big part of their, you know, uh, growing computer science department. So, you know,
So, is it a thumbs up? What's going on? It's on Amazon Prime right now. I give it a thumbs up on just it being a
I
really solid
yeah,
biopic. Great story.
yeah, it's one of those where I'll give it a thumbs up, but I do kind of have to sell it, uh, you know,
I think
because
the
it's
older
not,
crowd's gonna love it too, man. I gotta
yeah.
say.